All right, what is up, guys? I hope you had a great weekend. I had a fantastic weekend myself. I watched the AMA and I basically unplugged for the weekend. And by basically, I mean I almost got through the weekend without seeing much controversy. I looked at Discord Saturday night and I saw some stuff going down. And then I looked at Discord again on Sunday and I saw even more things going down.
Oh no! Oh no!
And I got a quick video out. I made an adjustment to the video that I posted because some of the information I had was wrong. I had to take the video down and repost the more pertinent actual information to not confuse anybody, which isn't a big deal. That's seconds out of my day to do so. But there was a lot of conversation about Ashes of Creation's monetization. And it's just kind of funny. It's kind of funny that, and I wanted to talk about that with you guys in this video, about the stuff that is silly, the stuff that doesn't make any sense, and I wanted to talk about the core criticisms that I have about what has happened this weekend. And so let's dive into it. First things first. I watched the Asmongold video. I saw Force Gaming's tweets on Twitter. I saw that there was a couple other videos that happened where people are complaining about the price point for Alpha 2. Now, straightforward, blunt and honest with you guys, I thought that the $100 to $120 price point for just Alpha 2 was a little much. I thought that was a little expensive relative to what other people have paid in the past, and we're going to dive into that in this video. But my main contention in this is that regardless of what the price was going to be, there was always going to be this backlash. This was always going to happen, and the reason I can say that is because it happened 7-8 months ago with the last bundles. I ended up doing a video on it. I'll provide a link in the description talking about the controversy then, where people were complaining about the expensive price of Alpha 2's bundles. The fact of the matter is, the vast majority of people think that Ashes of Creation's bundle prices are too expensive. And I'm going to talk to you guys about the origin story of why they exist the way they exist and why I think Ashes of Creation needs to be consistent. And so that's what we're going to do in this video, and we're just going to talk about it, and we're going to break it down in an understandable manner so that even though those of you guys that don't want to invest in Alpha 2, you guys don't want to invest in this game, you at least understand why Intrepid is trying to stay consistent. So let's dive into it. I'm going to start with Asmongold's main point that I disagree with. I watched his video. I'll provide a link in the description to his as well. I agree with, frankly, most of what he said. I thought the communication that Ashes of Creation has done over the weekend hasn't been very good. I think their communication has been off for the last couple of months, and I hope they get better. We'll talk about that more later on in the video. But his contention that I disagree with is this.
There's not going to be a price that's going to please everybody. I mean, that's just the bottom line.
Well, there is. It's $0, but they don't want to do that.
So Asmongold here claims that if Ashes of Creation wants to have a proper price point to get people into Alpha 2, to get people in a test, the price point should be free. And frankly, with Ashes of Creation's history, that is a non-starting point. That is a non-option. And I wanted to explain to you guys why. We're going to engage in a thought experiment. So right now, let's put ourselves in the thought experiment as a developer. Okay? We are a developer. We're trying to make a game. We have some funding. We want more funding. What do? Well, what Intrepid did is they went the Kickstarter route years ago, 7-8 years ago. They went the Kickstarter route, and they posted their idea for the game, and they provided bundles for ways for people to invest to see if there was enough people excited about the direction of their game to where they would actually have a tangible game that people would play in the future. And so this is before Intrepid was really a studio. This is before the game was really truly being developed by a bunch of people. This is the starting point. And so you have to imagine we don't have years and years of development and stuff to show. This is the founding points. And so you have people come in and set Kickstarter records. You set Kickstarter records for people wanting to invest in your game. And the bundles that you chose are available, and there's $250 access for Alpha 2. There's $500 access for Alpha 1, Alpha 2, Beta 1, and Beta 2. You have all these different bundles that if people provided support to get you off the ground, to get you started, they got access to these different points. Now, the thing is these bundles have been common since then, since the Kickstarter happened back in 2016, 2017. This has been the MO. And the reason for that is you want to stick by your initial investors. Imagine if you were in a situation where you invested into the founding of the game, you were so staunch in the belief of where it was going that that you were willing to invest money into where it was going, and what you paid for initially, let's say it was $100. It doesn't matter what the price point is. Let's just have a nice round number, 100. What if 5 years later they just gave it away for free? How would you feel as an investor? You'd feel like you got screwed over. You'd feel like the company didn't care that you were one of the people first invested in their vision. And so when it comes to my point about price point for Ashes of Creation, it's not about what the monetary number is. Frankly, it doesn't matter what it is. We all view value of what a game costs through different lenses because we all value games in different ways. And so I'm not going to sit here and say you're right and I'm wrong or vice versa, because it's all subjective to what we want. But from Intrepid's perspective, you have to stay consistent with what you've done. Because frankly, last year in January 2023, Intrepid announced that they had 100,000 people buy into Alpha 2.
Well, we'll have some pre-Alpha 2 testing too that we're going to do to make sure that we're ready to open the floodgates, because Alpha 2 is a lot of players, whereas Alpha 1 was, I mean, it's a good amount of players, Alpha 1 was, but we want to kind of make sure that
I think our
ready.
Alpha 2 has over 100,000 people that have purchased into it, so it's a pretty significant testing event.
Yeah, we were originally going 30,000.
I know.
Now it's
100,000 people bought a $250 bundle. So if you provide Alpha 2 access for free, you are screwing over 100,000 people that have been excited about it. This has been the MO for the investment into purchase it, into playing into Alpha 2, and now you just give it away for free. You're turning away from your core following base. And I think that's bad business. I think if Asmongold listened to this point and he was making a company, I think he would agree that this is bad business. And Asmongold himself even says that he's not even annoyed with the monetization policy for Alpha 2. He's just annoyed with the communication, which once again, we will talk about later. So this was always going to happen. This happened last year. This happened 7 months ago. This happened 8 months ago. People are always going to complain about the price point because frankly, a lot of players in the MMORPG and gaming space are very polarized on their thoughts of paying to test an alpha. This is not an early access game. They're not paying for early access. They're not paying for an early game. They're paying to test and fix bugs for Ashes of Creation. That's the way this has always been. That's the direction this game has always gone. And so for some people, it doesn't matter if the price point is $1,000, $100, or $10, it's a non-option for them. And so for those people, this will always be a no. And as an example, I can cut the current Alpha 2 bundle cost. The current Alpha 2 bundle is $100 to $120, and you get Alpha 2, Beta 1, Beta 2, those sorts of things. You get all of that. If I cut the price in half and I said it was $60, those same people would still go, you want me to pay the same price up front that a normal game that has all the features to it? You want me to pay the same price as a game to play and test your Alpha 2? Absolutely not. And that's fine. Some players are that way. And that's always going to be the case. That's the way it currently is. And so this entire discussion about what the monetization policies for Alpha 2 are going to ebb and flow until the game comes out. Frankly, this is the way it's always going to be because not everybody follows Ashes of Creation all the way back to their Kickstarter days. Not everybody knows about the origins of where the bundle started, and not everybody understands that, you know, if you want to have a good business, you should probably stick by your first investors. If you disagree, that's fine. I think that's bad business. I honestly think that's terrible business. I think that's doing a disservice to your community, and that's how you alienate your community really quickly and then don't end up with a community. You know, like we can look at YouTubers in the space that have scammed their following, and all of a sudden their following disappears because they've realized that the YouTuber doesn't value who they are as people or who they are as followers. And so it's the same type of thought process. And so that's where it's at. Force Gaming made a comment on Twitter talking about this in the same way, and I will post it right here. Force Gaming says, the Ashes of Creation stuff is a bit nutty. Charging $100 for alpha access, and that price doesn't include the actual game, i.e. you still have to purchase at release. Literally paying to be QA testers. It's clearly a we need more funding move. The question is, why is that funding not coming via traditional means, loans or investors? Can they not find people willing to invest in the project? Is it to maintain autonomy? Either way, charging people $100 for alpha access and not including the game is pretty shit, in my honest opinion. Now, I like Force Gaming. I do. I value his opinion on his monthly videos where he talks about games that are coming out in this month, because sometimes as a gamer, I want to see what's coming out and I don't pay attention to every single thing. I value his opinion on a lot of things, but on this, I just disagree because from a core perspective, he doesn't understand what the monetization of what Alpha 2 is. And you guys can take a moment and pause here and try to find it, but I will tell you right now. He thinks that there is a box cost for Ashes of Creation, which was never going to be the case. If you read this, i.e., you still have to purchase at release. Either way, $100 charging people $100 for alpha access and not including the game. There is no box cost for Ashes of Creation. Ashes of Creation is a subscription model, meaning that when the game comes out, you pay $15 and you get to play it for a whole month. Now, people will, once again, question the monetization policy of a monthly subscription. Frankly, I have paid $60 and I've gotten a weekend's worth of gameplay in the past. I have gotten a week's worth. I've gotten 2 weeks worth. Very rarely for a game do I get more than a month's worth of value out of a game for $60. And so when I look at it, yes, long term, if you're enjoying the game and you're playing the game month to month to month, you are going to pay more money for Ashes of Creation. But I think with their monetization policy, if you're paying in $15 a month, you're getting that value back with what the price is. Now, like I said, this is all subjective, of course. This is all subjective, but a core understanding of not realizing that this is the way monetization has always been. All Alpha 2 purchasers would have had to purchase Alpha 2 and then they would still be paying a $15 monthly subscription. This has always been the case. This was the case 8 months ago. This was the case 2 years ago. This was the case 3 years ago. This was the case 4 years ago. This monetization complaint for Ashes of Creation is basically like a price point cicada, where every half year people come out of the woodwork to complain about the prices and then they disappear and forget that that Alpha 2, that Ashes of Creation doesn't have monetization. And then the next time a discussion comes up, they're like, oh my God, I can't believe they're actually doing this. It's the same way it's always been. This has always been the exact same point. And so all this has been frankly silly in my eyes. I will agree that I thought that the initial on Friday bundle, $100 to $120 just for Alpha 2, I thought that was too expensive. And I'm not saying that's too expensive relative to value. I'm saying that that's too expensive relative to what other people have bought into this game for. Because like I said, my point here isn't about value. It's about consistency. I want Intrepid to stay consistent to their core investors. I want Intrepid to stay consistent to the original people that helped fund their company and helped fund this game. And making sure that they hold that value and making sure that they recognize that people made a big investment into just an idea is important. I think that shows that they care about their community. I think that shows that they care about their base. It also doesn't hurt that they get more money, right? Like, let's be honest.
Hello, I like money.
It is also nice monetarily that they hold the same price point for them as well. So it behooves them to do it both ways. I think it looks better for them, and frankly, it's more money for them to help develop the game. And so it's a win-win for them. But I sincerely believe it's bad business if you offer less for Alpha 2 than what other people have already purchased in. And like I said, it's 100,000 people bought in as of 2023 of last year. So you were screwing over a lot of people by offering less. And so the grand scheme of summation for this point is when they changed the bundle from just Alpha 2 on Friday to Alpha 2, Beta 1, Beta 2, and the 1 month free membership or free subscription, this is now way more in line with what I purchased it for. It's way more in line with what people purchased way back in 2017 for the Kickstarter. This is now in line with where everybody else is at. Is it overpriced? That's up to you. If you think it's overpriced, then don't buy it. That's all there is to it. That it's completely understandable. But at the same time, a lot of us as gamers have been okay spending $50 to $100 for a house. Asmongold, even in his video, talks about spending $1,000 over years for playing Path of Exile because he values playing Path of Exile. And I think that lies in another point is the fact that people are okay justifying making spending on things that are tangible, things that they have access to, and the thought of paying into something that is not yet tangible, that they don't yet have access to is once again another bridge too far, which is another point that needs to be brought up. And that's okay too. I'm not going to sit here and disagree with you. I understand that people want to, if they purchase something, they want to have access to it. And that doesn't currently exist for Alpha 2 either. And so all these things, I thought a lot of them where it's the same argument that's always been brought up. I think Intrepid sticking to their guns regardless of this, I think it speaks volumes for what the company does. They're not just going to sway with the wind with public opinion. I think they would really screw over their core followers by doing otherwise. Now, we have now talked 15 minutes about my belief on these bundle prices and why I think this entire argument is silly, because it was silly 8 months ago. That's my opinion. Stick to the same price. What do I have a grudge against? What am I harumphing about that happened on Friday? Well, frankly, it's communication. The communication this weekend was not good. They announced that the bundles were going to be $120 for Alpha 2. And then the next day, Steven had to clarify multiple times on Reddit and on YouTube that the box cost was always going to be Alpha 2, Beta 1, Beta 2, and this 1 month subscription. They miscommunicated that. Well, that's not great going forward. I think overall the communication the last couple of months, although it's understandable that it's been off, they're gearing up for Alpha 2. They're in a crunch time, like they said in their AMA. They've been working extra hours to get Alpha 2 up and running. I totally understand why communication in this is taking a back burner to getting Alpha 2 running. I can understand that, but I can also acknowledge and point out that communication hasn't been great. I think it's fair to say that what happened with the AMA, what happened afterwards with the clarifications that had to go out on Discord and on Reddit and on Asmongold's YouTube channel and stuff like that, in an ideal situation, it would have never had to happen. And I think going forward, I think they'll be better with the communication aspect. But that would be my biggest complaint about what happened this weekend is, frankly, they've been all over the place. And even their AMA website page, they posted it yesterday or 2 days ago, and they've had to edit it multiple times because it had spelling errors and it's had different points that have just been off, and they've had to go in and re-edit and refix these things. And once again, that just speaks to where the communication is at currently right now pre-Alpha 2. And so I don't think it's a good look. I will say, as a person that has been following and covering this game for the last 2 years, I will say that this is not normal. This is not a normal thing that Ashes of Creation does. I will say that if they continue going this route with communication, it will be a problem going forward. But I don't believe that to be the case. I don't believe the previous 21, 22 months of communication are all of a sudden wiped away by 2 to 3 months of poor communication. I think they need to, hopefully they realize that this is just constructive criticism. People do support this game. I support this game, but I want the communication to be better. And that was the overarching point in Asmongold's video, which I mostly agree with. Communication can be better. And so I'm gonna end this video here. If you guys have any questions, thoughts, personal opinions, you can provide in the comment section below, and I'll do my best to answer. As always, guys, thank you for watching. Have a nice day.